afternoon, everybody. We will start now the briefing by
the press briefing of Colonel Andriy Lysenko, the spokesperson for National Security and Defense Council.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Let's start our briefing. The President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, today held a conference with the commanders of the power bloc of the country, and he marked the achievements of the Ukrainian armed forces. Over the last 2 months, the zone of the anti-terrorist operation dwindled by three-quarters. The main result is that millions of people have an opportunity to come back to normal life. He also marked the heroism and courage of Ukrainian warriors who, with the price of their lives, day by day, conquer back the new settlements and liberate new territories from bandits and mercenaries. He emphasized that all the operations have as their aim the maximum avoidance of casualties, both between the civilians and the military. He also suggested that we should perfect the mechanism of mobilization. One of the directions is the sending of military commissariats to combat units. Another question was the question of adaptation and employment of wounded military servicemen who cannot come back to combat units. And the Minister of Defense has now the order to replace military commissaries by officers who were relieved from the units after their wounds. Over the 5th of August, the State Emergency Service discovered and defused 21 units of ammunition, 2 artillery shells, 12 mortar mines, 7 mines and grenades. They also checked 4 administrative buildings. They checked 28.8 hectares of territories and 0.3 hectares of water reservoirs. Starting from the 6th of July this year in Sloviansk and adjacent territories, 9,358 units of ammunition were found in, among them 499 artillery shells, 604 mortar mines, 392 combat grenades and mines, and other things. 584 administrative buildings were checked to find explosives there, 474.8 hectares of territory and 31.9 hectares of water reservoirs were also searched. The terrorists are ruining civil and industrial objects of Zhovtnevo, Leninsky, Kameno-Britsky and Artemytsky districts of the city of Luhansk. They fired mines at the railway bridge between the villages of Nizhny Teple and Dohorodne, and there was damage inflicted on the bridge. The delivery of coal for the Luhansk regional heat energy station in the city of Shastia was stopped, which used to produce energy for 70% of the settlements in the region. 62 settlements of the region have no electricity now. The militants are firing objects from moving mine throwers and mortars. They try to cause panic among the local population and to discredit Ukrainian military. Almost immediately, Live News, Russia 24 and Luhansk 24 correspondents are there. Those are Russian and pro-Russian television channels. The cities which are occupied by the terrorists Luhansk, Rovenki, Sverdlovsk, Krasny Luch, Antracit and Pervalsk. The problems are becoming more acute with the provision of food for the population. Network shops are not working, and private contractors cannot have opportunity to get to settlements. There's lack of currency, of cash, and now the head of the security service of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic demanded the deputy head of police of social security of interior in Ukraine at the Donetsk Railway was demanding that he take an oath of allegiance to the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, and in order to avoid danger, the command of the Department for Interior in Ukraine on the Donetsk Railway decided to evacuate personnel and leave the building. The Ukrainian engineers have laid 2 temporary bridges instead of those that were ruined by the terrorists, and in order to fulfill the tasks by special platforms, railway platforms from Dnipropetrovsk region to Slovyansk, almost 100 sections of pontoons and over 10 units of auxiliary technology machinery were transported there. They are building bridges within the span of several days, and now the bridge is strong and is able to carry dozens of tons of cargo. Another 4 bridges were renewed by the engineers of the armed forces of Ukraine, and yesterday the residents of Severodonetsk in Luhansk region thanked our military for the restored bridge over the river of Borova. So now the 40 meters long bridge will serve the residents of a big industrial city. In general, in Donbass, during the anti-terrorist operation, Russian subversive agents damaged 17 bridges with different levels of ruination. Many bridges are mined. Today, Switzerland reinforced the sanctions against Russia. According to them, it is banned to carry out financial activity with 18 Russian companies. 26 persons are on the list of sanctions. These are politicians and business persons who will be banned from entering Switzerland, and their accounts will be blocked in Swiss banks. The sanctions are becoming active today at 6 p.m. The MP from the Christian Democratic Union of Bundestag, Michael Fuchs, called these sanctions a sign of solidarity of EU and unity in the general list of sanctions against Russia. We should also note that through banks of Switzerland, in particular through Geneva, 75% of finance from the export of Russian oil go, and the official information of the National Bank of Switzerland says that the bank accounts hold almost 14 billion Swiss francs. There's one warning that over the recent time, the Russian side strengthens its attempts to wage information war, including official sites. I remind you that the official site of anti-terrorist operation has an English language version. It also displays the phones of our officers who are now in the zone of combat. Please use only the official information, because the fake sites now carry the information which has to be more accurate or which is absolutely false. During the last briefing, you promised to tell us about the Spola plant that is producing spare parts for Russian industry. The matter is that this plant really produces spare parts, but they do go for the needs of the Ukrainian army. What is the last information about the situation with the soldiers of Brigade 72? How many of them have come back from the Russian territory, and what are the casualties and all this? No casualties. 195 soldiers came back to the territory of Ukraine. The rest are on the territory of Russian Federation, and at the moment we're settling the things about the transportation to back home. And what is happening on this part of the border? There's no Brigade 72 at the moment in this location, and some of the units that are doubling their functions are in the depths of Ukrainian territory, but we fire on this in this locality, and it's under control. So if anyone tries to break through, they will be observed and found. In Luhansk airport, Ukrainian military are encircled. They were calling us today and saying that they have run out of water, and that today the reinforcement had to come to help them, but they were told that the forces that were trying to help them were taken back. Well, sometimes, regularly, it does happen that the planned help does not reach the unit that it was planned to reach, but this does not mean that it won't come to the destination. If this convoy was found and they were preparing to bomb it, of course, we withdrew this convoy, but it will come back. Can you tell us any information about brigades 95, 25, 74, and 80? We are very much interested about what has happened to them, because we were in the vicinity of Brigade 72. We're talking now about Brigade 72 that, at the decision of the command of the anti-terrorist operation, left the site of its constant location, but now we are talking about other units that are on the border of our state, on the lines that I am showing you. They are performing their functions of detaining, of holding back Russian forces and pro-Russian forces. We think that they perform their duties very well. I'll come back to Spola plant. According to the information of the director of this plant, the plant belongs to Russia. So it looks now like the Russian plant is producing spare parts for the Ukrainian army. What is the real situation? The plant is there and it has its capacities, and whatever they produce remains in the territory of Ukraine. The net has it that border territories, our assault forces are abandoning their weapons and they are retreating. What do you know about this? Thank you. The information that you have made public is in the domain of fake information, and I have to disappoint our terrorists that they are not retreating from there. They stay there, although the terrorists would want them to retreat, but they are there and do not allow the terrorists to come closer. There's an information that terrorists are preparing counteroffensive. For instance, Dmitro Timchuk wrote about this in his Facebook. The terrorists are constantly in firing contact with our combat units, and this does not mean that they have enough forces to sweep us out. They are always conducting counteroffensive as a rule during the night, because during the day they are very well seen and their actions are being monitored by special technology. In the night they are regularly firing at our units and our checkpoints. Every morning we make public the information about this. I can remind you of what we told you today already. 26 times they have fired against our positions. I can tell you that this means that terrorists are trying to destabilize the situation, but they lack forces to organize a counter-offensive. They do not have an opportunity to hold partial mobilization. Who is in control of Yasinuvata now? As far as Yasinuvata is concerned, 2 days ago, the Ukrainian forces have entered this city, but there was a situation which threatened a great number of peaceful populations, so the headquarters of the anti-terrorist operation decided to withdraw our forces to the suburbs of the city, not to inflict damage on the peaceful population. So now we are working so that local population can leave the city, and then we will do anything that we want. However, the railway is not in operation now. You say that along the border our troops are repelling all the attempts to cross the border by the Russian machinery. However, our troops say that before they get an order to destroy the convoy, this convoy is already out of reach. Thank you. This is the 17th time that you are asking such a question. Any convoy that enters the Ukrainian territory as is within the sight of our intelligence units, if there's an opportunity to destroy this convoy, we do this immediately. If they are taking another route and they are covered by fire, then we follow this convoy until it reaches the territory where there is no danger for our Ukrainian military and where there is no peaceful population, and whenever the opportunity arises, we destroy this convoy there. For you to understand, over this area, the Ukrainian aviation does not work temporarily because the Russian aviation, Air Force, and anti-aircraft defense work there. So as soon as the convoy reaches some depth in the Ukrainian territory, they are under our strikes, either from air or from artillery. Be sure that everyone who enters the Ukrainian territory are within our sights. Do I understand correctly that our military can destroy a convoy without any command? You know, this is a front line. If there's a situation when a commander can decide to destroy a convoy and they have enough force to do this, then they do this. If they see that they lack means to do this, they report to the headquarters, and then headquarters do the thing. A question about a specific soldier who died during the combat. This was, in the hospital they issued a certificate that he died at one settlement, but the military have issued another location for his death. So the relatives say that all the benefits, he won't get the status of the fighter of the anti-terrorist operation. What the relatives have to do? Thank you for the question. Yesterday I visited the Central Clinical Hospital, and women were approaching me, and I was consulting them on what they can do or should do with different certificates, because different people who have never dealt with any military paper machinery, they do not know what to do with the different kinds of papers. I'll try to explain you now. If the person was drafted from the reserve, then the military commissariat has the order, a resolution to send this person to a specific military unit. Then the military unit takes him to the anti-terrorist operation zone, and this person is sent to a specific military unit. God forbid it happens so that a person dies, then the relatives should address the military commissariat so that they demand all the papers about the person who's been sent to the anti-terrorist operation. In his papers, it won't be written the zone of anti-terrorist operation. It will be written military unit number so and so. And the military commissariat has the list of units that are in the zone of anti-terrorist operation. If they see that the guy was there, then automatically he becomes a participant in the anti-terrorist operation, which is the grounds for his relatives to get the benefits. So if even the certificate from a medical establishment says that he died under unknown circumstances, he still will be considered a ATO veteran. This may be because the hospital has not yet got the papers from the military unit. You should get then the certificate from the military unit and go to the military commissariat and rectify the situation. There's a legal ground for every person going to the anti-terrorist operation. I'd like to ask you whether maybe you know any information about who was shooting or firing in Kharkiv against the plant and against the military commissariat. Do you want to ask about the terrorist act on the territory of the tank factory in Kharkiv? Our law enforcers are investigating this case, and it doesn't fit our competence. Any other questions? Can you tell us about Brigade 72, the people who have vanished, who have gone missing, and the relatives, they are telling their relatives about their route, and their relatives are taking notes, but then these people go missing again. Are there any units to search for the missing? I get your question. I understand that this does not pertain only to Brigade 72. Let's talk in general about the military who went missing. The commander of a military unit who sends military personnel anywhere or leads them, this is done through a command, through the order, which lists all the personnel. And if someone does not come back from a combat mission, we see at once who hasn't come back. If, as a result of combat action, our guys are being captured, we know this very soon, because the terrorists are also interested in exchanging our prisoners for their prisoners. They do not hold this information secret. There's a separate category of people who work constantly on the issue of exchange. People do not vanish without trace. There's always information where they have been in recently and all this. If there are no other questions, then thank you and see you later.